Oh, it's recording.
There,
That's good. Now we're cooking with gas. Now I have
Do we know if Patrick might show up?
I don't know. He hasn't said to me, but he has,
Do we have extra?
the last time I talked to him, which was a couple of weeks ago, he told me things were really hopping over at his place because the little boy is teething now.
Oh, yes, that's exciting.
So,
Thank you.
Mary, is Charlie gonna come? Or
Charlie
virtually
is
or
not
otherwise?
coming, Charlie cannot come, Charlie cannot come.
Yeah.
Charlie cannot come because he's got all kinds of things to do. He's got,
Oh, night their last night at Good Measure also?
Yeah, that pop up
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that's what he had to do, I think he had other stuff to do, for select board too, so. Keeping busy. I hear the bells,
Wait, what?
and there's Patrick.
Patrick?
Patrick, how are you?
Yeah, we hear you teething.
Sit here.
Or your significant
here.
other is
Teething?
your significant child is teething, yes.
Someone saw me feeding a baby a finger or something?
Yeah,
I
like
don't
that.
know. You put the finger in the brandy, put the brandy finger in the mouth.
Yes,
I always thought that the better idea was to drink the brandy myself, and then,
That's how I've been approaching it, except not brandy. I drank brandy one time when I was in college and my friend got these, he bought a bar at a consignment and had these big brandy snifters. And he had a bottle of brandy, and so we were all like, oh, cool, we filled them up like beer glasses at like 3 p.m, and I was like, I don't remember
And it
anything until the
hurts.
next
It
day.
hurts.
I was like, oh, I
It
guess you're not
hurts.
supposed to,
no, you're not
No,
supposed to do
yeah.
that, that's not a good
not the right
plan,
way.
not a good plan.
wow, that's quite a coat you got there. You could wear that in hunting season too.
Yeah, go hunting in, all right?
Well, they're kind of the orange
Yeah.
spectrum there,
Yeah, with the colorful side.
you're the colorful side. And Kawa is here, and the bells rang, so I think we should start.
Okay.
And, we'll just follow through here, and, hopefully, we'll be able to meet my aspiration, which is to get done in an hour.
Love it.
It's always been my aspiration.
Thank you.
Everybody, and you want, I have some,
Minutes.
minutes for you,
Oh, boy.
minutes for you. Do you have
Take a minute
minutes?
to look at
You have minutes already. Minutes
Thank
for you.
Sure, I could use some extra time.
So, afterwards, I have to talk to you about this process. I have another friend who does this, and it's like, without an index, how do you find shit after you? You have to go back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so. First thing on the thing is to do the roll call, so, let's go around this way, starting with you, Tim, and we'll say our names and then like that.
Okay, Tim Swartz.
Delane McElveen. Caitlin Keating.
Jeff Schultz. Pat Meehan.
And me, I'm Mary Shernock. And, on the virtual, we have Kawa
Kawaduogi.
Kawaduogi, yeah.
Dwogi. I knew it was a whole lot of vowels altogether.
That's
So-
correct.
So, the meeting has started. Public participation, we have none, because all my guests have ghosted me. So then we go to the approval of the minutes. And, can I have a motion to approve the minutes and then we'll discuss?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been a motion to approve and second, and does anyone have any comments about the minutes?
No.
I do. Notice how I led you into that?
Oh, that's,
Okay, so if
you're
you,
entitled.
if you look at the section 4A, the last full sentence, it starts with my name, Mary thought, and there should be a T there, cause I saw that.
What, do you read these?
Yeah,
now?
I actually do. That's
Hi,
my
Jeanette.
job. It's my job. And Janan is here too. So Janan Ham is here as well. And then if you look at section 5A, again, the last full sentence, groups such as the need. So you need another T there too. Last full sentence, shared interest between the groups, such as the need to remove invasive vegetation. The instead of he. She can't see it, she keeps looking. And then on page 2, midway down, the sentence begins, effort to determine how residents would prefer to spend these funds. And so those are the only corrections that I had, and they were just little typos from going fast. Is there any more? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Now, let's go on to the old business, and we have the status of the Dollar General land transfer. Can you tell us about that, Jeff?
Sure. So as I had mentioned, for the longest time, we were working with Dollar General to try to get an easement for,
Can you hear him? Mary, can you hear him? Yes, she says yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Nate and Scott joined the meeting.
Yes, Mary Naden Scott is at the meeting too. Go ahead, Jeff, I'm sorry I cut you
no,
off.
that's fine. Yeah, so again, we were trying to get an easement, for the path. Because as we've talked about multiple times, there was not sufficient town land, along the side of the building between the river to accommodate the path. So we're working on an easement. And so Dollar General said, no, we're not interested in an easement. I think you've heard that probably several times. So, but they graciously offered to sell the land, or I'm sorry, give the land to the town. So I started the process to make that happen, which would need a boundary line adjustment. So we hired a surveyor, Bowman Survey, to do that work. They did put together a survey. As an aside, the very first survey showed the new boundary line about 5 feet off Dollar General. I'm like, nah, they're gonna want a little bit more than that. So he shifted that, told the surveyor to shift that line to about 15 to 18 feet of Dollar General. Obviously, they want some landing to access their building. And so, with this proposed survey, you can see the town will gain a significant chunk of land containing some flat area. So there will be quite a bit of area if Dollar General goes for that. So, yeah, so I did ship that survey to them quite a while ago. And it's tough to reach those folks, I get it, you know, I think they're short-staffed. So the survey goes to a paralegal, the paralegal looks at it and then has to get with an attorney. The paralegal had mentioned that a couple of the attorneys had left, so now they're down to 1 or 2 dealing with, I don't know, 1,900 stores, I don't remember, but a lot of stores.
All of the stores.
Yeah, so, yeah, and they probably farmed some of it out, but yeah, so they indicated that they would get to it, so I've written to this person a couple of times and I called her again today. They're not real good about picking up, but they'll eventually get back with an email. But to cut to the chase, she said the attorneys are looking at it and she said, you know, we'll agree to some land, but we gotta just, in the end, determine how much land, they're willing to give up and not jeopardize the ability to maintain their property, so.
That's Bowman who was saying that?
The
No, no.
surveyors?
No, it was, folks at Dollar General.
Okay,
Yeah, so again, I've gotta get approval, so I sent the survey to the folks at Dollar General.
okay,
And so their lawyers are looking at it just to see if they're comfortable with.
okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear. So that's where that's at. So as you know, kind of running parallel, we're gonna need access to the river in this area to get to the dam removal project. So we're kind of running two requests to Dollar General. So the other is the getting permission to access the rear of the Dollar General property to get to the river for construction purposes. So this, the engineers have put together a plan showing that, so,
Which is reflected on, Patrick, on your,
That's
Drawing.
back there, their latest one, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like sort of underneath everything, I just left it
Yeah.
on so you can sort of see what they're.
yeah, and that's really useful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as an aside,
It's
we,
this double dotted line here.
originally, the engineers for the dam project had proposed to run traffic right through the middle of their driveway. This was back in November, I'm like, I don't think they're gonna go for that, understandably, having all the trucks, impact with, all the customers plus, impacting.
No, they're not gonna
pavement. So,
They would have to
as I
repave
was,
that parking lot after, probably. They would have to repave that parking lot
yeah,
after.
and
were
they
done.
asked how much, they were gonna pay, and I said, we don't have funds, so they took them quite a while, I remember through December, January, before they got back to us on that, but they nixed the idea again of using their main parking lot. So again, we're looking at, again, two options to get to the construction area. One is to run trucks through the property to the north where the proposed apartment is, and then run the trucks down back of the Dollar General property along the back of their parking lot and then down to the construction area. So if Dollar General says no to that, then the other option is running trucks through that newly established area or newly obtained area along the southerly side of Dollar General. Now, that's not ideal, running trucks in from that spot, because it's pretty close to the bridge. I mean, the bridge is gonna be done next year, but just even from traffic safety, it'd be a little bit awkward, but that may be our only option. So, but obviously that won't affect the Riverwalk project, because once construction's completed, then we can go in there and grade, seed, and then make room for the path.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I was thinking that the south side of Dollar General is kind of what we were aiming for, because that would help create a ramp for the Riverwalk path.
Yeah.
Is that,
That was originally, so the original, my understanding of it, you can correct me, Jeff, if this is wrong, but when Dubois and King was planning it, that's what they had planned. But then when SLR came on board, they decided they wanted to go around back.
okay,
So SLR, I talked to them at that open house thing. This dotted line, which is like sort of their secondary access where we were talking about now.
Mhm.
They told me that like as of now, they'd prefer to not have to use that because since it's federal money, they're subjected to like a lot of restrictions
okay.
surrounding like pre-contact culturally sensitive like artifacty things.
Oh, okay.
So
You mean for the road or the path?
for the dam removal, for the whole dam removal.
Yeah, well, actually, it's really not gonna matter because they're gonna interfere with that whole area regardless. So,
Right.
But anyway, so, I said, what you're gonna need to do for the dam project is submit permits with 2 access points.
Yeah, right, which
Yeah,
is smart as a
Yeah,
backup.
so again, the dam project plans that have gone in for permitting show access here along the southerly side of the building and on the northern side.
So they could use either one if they need to.
Right, yeah,
As
and
far as the-
again, it all depends on what we can obtain from Dollar General in terms of access.
What they were saying is that it's easier for them to work as much as they can through the apartment construction because
Yeah.
that's already been disturbed, so for their like FEMA requirements, it's a little
And
bit
reporting
easier.
and stuff.
Yeah,
Because they're like, oh, somebody already messed it up.
yes, yeah, but either way, the permitting will be approved with access from either point. Did that answer?
Got it, thank you.
So again, I.
May I ask a question?
Sure,
And you might have said this, I was late, I apologize. But, does Dollar General have 2 points of contact with the town or one? Like it is, I know that you're the contact for this project. Are you also, Dollar General's contact with the SLR project? Or does Dollar General have 2 contacts for Northfield? Do you know what I mean? I might have worded that awkwardly.
no, I'm not sure.
Do I understand you to say, is Dollar General working with Jeff alone, or is he working with Jeff and SLR?
Well, I feel like, Jeff, you just brought a great point for me in a way. I had a light bulb, like Dollar General is hard to communicate with. They might have a lot on their plate, so to speak. And so I'm wondering, for these 2 big projects in Northfield that we want their attention for, the Riverwalk project and the dam removal project with SLR, or does Dollar General, do they have 2 people trying to
I see.
communicate with them through Northfield, or is there both projects going with you, Jeff, as one point of contact?
Yeah, so it's contact with me and the one person at Dollar General.
Okay, so they have 2, so you're both of you are sort of being held up by this lack of communication. Am I understanding that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't lack of communication, I mean, it's just, I think, more workload issues
Yeah.
on their part. Like I said,
I think Mary understood you, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the one point of contact for both of these projects, the
Yes,
dam removal and
Northfield.
Oh,
the Riverwalk, okay,
Okay.
sorry, I,
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. I worded that weird. Thank you
No,
for
I don't
understanding
hear
me,
well either.
Helen.
Okay, to summarize then, they could go either way. Their preference is to go on the north side of Dollar General. Our preference is that they go on the south side of Dollar General.
well,
I don't think it is our preference from talking to them because of what they, like, they need to repair the site to the conditions that it was before. Especially if they find something that was there from before we were here.
A
So,
pre-contact
yes,
question.
if they
Cultural stuff, yeah.
encounter something that is like culturally sensitive,
Yeah.
they can't just go and mow it up because it's federal funding.
Yeah.
Yep,
Whereas to put it indelicately, the town could decide to use a little less discretion with how they operate. That was my
what do you
understanding.
mean, in terms of the dam project?
If they find cultural artifacts in the project with the FEMA money, they need to repair that site to the
Oh,
condition it
absolutely.
was at before they started. So say that they go and rip up between Dollar General and the river to the south side where we wanna put a Riverwalk in, and they find some pottery or something.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows there's pottery there, and that makes it very complicated for us to go in and excavate and put a trail in.
Okay.
Whereas if a contractor that the town hires finds that and they're not subjected to the same,
I see.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to say it without saying it.
Yeah.
I think we
yes,
get
You
it.
said
I
it?
understand.
Yeah,
Well put.
so from the town's perspective, yeah, and for the dam and SLR, it's all of our preference that, again, they're able to get approval to access from the north and go around to the rear. For the reason that you'd mentioned, disturbance in that area to the south, the Dollar General, but also it's just not the best situation,
Yeah, it's an awkward turn.
sending trucks off of Main Street that close to the bridge. It can be done, but again, it's just much cleaner to have trucks come off Main Street on that northerly property and then work their way through there and then completely move that around, so.
So when do you think construction on the dam project is gonna start?
Yeah, so their goal is to put the project out to bid in the end of May, but they cannot start construction until July, because they'll be looking for a low water point.
Oh, right.
But I always worry about that, the last 2 Julys, we've gotten
Right.
Yeah.
Low water, yeah, the highest.
But again, you know, as long as there's no intense rainstorms, typically in July and August is the low water period.
Okay, that's
So-
gonna come back, we're gonna come back and talk about that in a minute, because that's something else that I wanna talk about tonight. So, this gray path that looks kind of like an insect and then there's a tail and it's sort of weird, that's what we are working with right now.
This is their, yeah, 95%.
No, this is this.
Oh, that thing, yeah, that was just the original path that I put together. That's a like plan view of what that 3D rendering is.
Okay, so my question is, it's not in concrete.
No, yeah,
It's not in concrete and where it may be an opportunity path. You know what I'm saying? So that, yeah, desire path, if they start going back and forth, we may put our path there.
yeah, we can change it.
Yeah, okay.
The reason that this is sort of serpentine is because I was trying to meet the ADA requirement for
Yeah.
the grade. So you
Yeah,
have to follow the contours mostly to try to not drop more than 1 in 12.
right, yes, okay.
So
very
at some
good.
point, there's gonna need to be some switchbacks, but where they are is really dependent on what the topography is at the end of the project, not what the topography on the current.
Exactly,
So like this was, yeah, that will change for sure.
exactly.
Even if we want it to be this, it'll be something different.
Yep,
It might be close to that.
and as you noted, the.
Yeah, do you see
that
the
red-
overlap
that red
between
blotch,
the?
It makes it, that's a very clear way of showing it, I like that.
Yeah, so like where I initially put that pad to sort of do a turnaround and a little like hangout area is on top of what they already know is.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's
Sensitivity area.
a whole thing, we could avoid that. You know, but again, that depends on the grade that they leave us with at the end of it, but from talking to the engineers, it seems like they have an onus based on the fact it's federal funding to repair, once the dam is removed, their job is to make everything exactly how it was when they came, if there's something sensitive in it, even if they have to go over that area, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So our desire to buy an excavator, some donuts and coffee might not fly depending on what they find during the excavation.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get those excavators to fly anyway, so.
They're so heavy. Yeah.
All right, so the Cross Brothers Dam removal update is what we just heard.
Yeah, and just as an aside, it's they're scrambling to get permits, plus scrambling to get additional final approvals from FEMA. Now, all the funding for the project is allocated and sitting in a fund, but they still have to apply, and so they're scrambling to put together all kinds of documents related to that, so yeah, it's getting a little complicated, and it's coming down to the 11th hour, so it's slowly coming together. I mean, I've been last couple of months a little nervous about it, just because there's a lot involved, and
Is she
I think
nervous
some-
about it?
a little bit, we've had, I guess I gotta be careful, we've had some conversations just about FEMA and the state, you know, the reviewing agency and how bureaucratic they can be, and sometimes they're slow, and
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I think some of That may, probably should have happened a little bit earlier, but we'll see, and it sounds like it's coming together, but.
Well, it sounds like it doesn't have to be all that fast, given the last 2 Julys.
I think there's, part of the July thing, I believe, has to do with, habitat, like wetland habitat, there's like some sensitive areas, and so because it's like a controlled waterway, they're not allowed to work in it until a certain date, like, because of the low water thing.
Yeah.
But it's not purely just like them not being able to get a machine in there, there's like even if the water happens to be really low in May, they can't get in there earlier because
There's
they have to wait
critters.
until the birds are done nesting.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
There's critters in there,
Yeah,
not to mention teenagers are swimming there on that.
We don't wanna dig them up.
No,
critters.
yeah. So, C is the possible coordination with Northfield Conservation Commission. I had an exchange with Deb Zwaro, who is, that's her baby, and she pushes the carriage. So, she said that she doesn't have anything more to say than what we had before. So, we're still going to work closely, and, yeah, so I know Deb socially, and I see her every week, so, I'll keep my hand on the pulse of this thing and find out more.
Thanks,
Friends,
Mary.
Friends of the Winooski River update, also, she bailed, and, but I asked her to please come next month to talk to us about that, they have these, what are they called, river access grants promoting public access to the
Interesting.
river, yeah, and they have money for that. I don't remember the names of those grants, but, it's like,
Reconnecting with rivers.
thank you, Reconnecting with Rivers is the names of, and that is what I,
Minutes, good,
She
good
also
detective
recommended-
work.
I read them before I
This is
came.
what, I guess that's what I
You're-
was saying.
You're
so,
a minute expert.
so, yeah, so Reconnecting with Rivers, and that's what we wanna talk to them about. And maybe talking now isn't such a great idea as much as waiting till we have something
Sure.
in some progress going along to show them and talk about. I don't know what their parameters are either, what they have, if you have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to, keep in touch with them and keep them updated as we reach different milestones, like getting the Dollar General land, just so they know how the progress.
Yeah, okay,
that's-
milestones.
Figuring
that's the
out what
only
their
thing I can
timeline
think of.
is, like, once we
Right.
get a grant, how long do we have to spend the money? Because, you don't wanna be ready to do the work without the money, but you don't wanna get the money and then not be able to, it's like a chicken and the egg thing.
I know, and then I don't know how much money they have and what they can use it for.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanna hear from her, so.
Well, I know one of the things, this may be a place to spend it, but we were talking last night at the task force meeting about having handicap accessible signs, or I guess a sign to put up along the trail to show that it's handicap accessible, it's universally
Yeah.
accessible. That's just a
Yeah,
little
these are
tidbit.
good
I don't know
things,
what
yeah.
that's
And then I
gonna be.
was thinking, that we need another sign to talk about this sensitivity area.
Right,
Yeah, so is Ray the principal SLR guy? Ray? Is that his name?
Roy.
Roy. I was talking to Roy at that open house, and he was saying, based on like the grades and what they're intending to leave and stuff, that it might, I know this isn't what any of us want necessarily, but it might end up being easier to do like an ADA accessible trail down to what was the former spillway, which is like a concrete pad that they're going to have to leave because that's armoring the sewer. And then do like a set of steps or something steeper from there down, just because of how he anticipates the grade is gonna be left. So in terms of this changing. Also because the river is always gonna be changing, so at some point, the ADA trail is gonna be either possible or not possible, depending on the individual person's ability, cause you're up to the water. So
Okay.
it's just something, I should have mentioned that earlier, but that was something that I talked to him about. But because they are gonna be leaving that part, the trail sort of loops past it right now. Like that would be one option, so that would also come into play with the signage,
yeah,
Is the red thing, is that the concrete pad that stays there?
The red thing is
What's
the culturally sensitive
Oh, okay,
We found like
area.
artifacts there that, so that area needs to be
okay,
preserved or
okay.
treaded
Interfered
on
with
very
as
lightly.
Interfered with as little as possible.
Yeah,
And there's the possibility there could be other artifacts as bad as you.
Yeah.
alluded to.
they both said they're like,
The red
off the record,
circle
they're gonna find
area.
stuff everywhere, so.
Yeah, it's a river,
Ah.
it's a
Right.
classic place for,
If we wanna be there, somebody has been there many, many generations.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to show them the
camera.
map. Is it working? Mary says it's working. I'm gonna keep doing it. Am I upside down? I'm not upside down. She'll tell me.
well,
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
very helpful. I take pictures of what she puts up so that I can look at it
when you're,
when I'm at the
Sorry, I
airport.
couldn't find my mouse, but it is very helpful, Caitlin.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
and Delane, you can bring her copies
will.
of these, you know.
I'll stop at your house on the way home, okay?
Yeah, but it's helpful during the meeting for all the people that are, you know.
And I want to give kudos right now, since we're talking about these maps. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
This
very much.
is really a big thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, what do
that's-
you call it, a
I
diagram?
I
know.
don't know what you call it.
When she handed this to me, I was like, who is
Just
this?
looking it
This
up.
is
Yeah.
local.
I wanted to do this for the last one, but I didn't
Thank you,
have
Dad.
time.
Contented culture design is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and, but I want to thank, and then I also want to thank Tom, because he made sure that we got them this big, because Tim and I tried to do one.
Oh, no.
Here it is. It's just this big. See?
And
It's not that great.
Even
it does
trickier
not come
to-
with its own microscope.
And it didn't, it didn't come in color or any of things. So this is vast improvement over the
Yeah, right.
technology that I had available to me. So Tom Davis gets kudos for that as well. And isn't it interesting that, of course, this is going to be a culturally sensitive area, of course.
That's
We're
where
not
we
the-
picked to do the hangout, so of
Yeah,
course, like, you
right.
know,
Yeah.
400
Why
years
wouldn't
ago, somebody's
other-
like, that's a good spot.
Yes,
Yeah,
Of-
for
Well, you
fishing.
see a lot of those along the rivers.
yes.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, and then, you know,
So
it's
the-
a source of
travel
food and, you know, so you wanna have, you could have a fish fry there, you know? The Native American equivalent of a fish fry, which is probably called a fish fry, yes. But I mean, it's, you know, it's just how nice the thread goes all the way through to quasi juvenile delinquents hanging out down there.
Yeah.
And,
Drinking underage and, you know, so.
and the
400
benefit
years
of
from
this
now.
project is it puts us in touch with this history that we're talking about.
Sure, yeah.
And the signage can mention that, and the juvenile delinquents,
Yeah.
that we know that there's fire pits along the river,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, that are not pre-contact.
No, we know that, and
It's from their
also,
juvenile delinquents, right?
and also,
What's the PBR
I'm sick of you kids, go hang out at the river. I don't really care.
so,
Try
and
not to
as
fall in.
as a veteran of law enforcement, criminal justice, I know that the more people you have in an area,
Yeah.
the better it is.
Yep.
So, bringing people down, I mean, now, I don't know if I could elaborate this enough to get money from LIHEAP, but, or,
Not like,
what is it?
yeah, I'm not sure what you're thinking of, but
Law enforcement, it's law enforcement, LE,
Oh, the lead,
yeah, lead? What? Lead, yeah, all those law enforcement assistants, something, yeah. Could get a grant for delinquency prevention by putting this up. Okay, so that was then, let's talk about new business. The organization of community walks, that was something that we had talked about last month, it came up, and I think we should really refine that.
That was
And
a good idea.
refine our discussion, it's getting nicer. Should we look at
every
our,
other day. it gets nicer.
Only a little
Not
bit of snow
today.
today.
I was gonna say today it was like every 15 or 20 minutes.
It was awful.
Yes,
The
And
frogs in the pond sounded really confused this morning. They were still croaking, but it was confused.
yes.
Croaking noise or croaking dead.
Definitely
It's a fine line sometimes, yes. Well,
You don't
you know,
have
you have
papers
the early
already, do you?
adopters that come out early and they get the results.
Oh,
They take a
sweet. I
risk.
should come down to
Seriously.
usually when that happens. So, I haven't heard any peepers yet, have you?
No, not in our
Yeah.
ear shed.
Right, okay, so the organization of community walks. So who do we wanna have walk? When do we wanna do it? What do we want to obtain by having these walks? Should we have tea and crumpets afterwards so people will talk?
Could you have it along, like, on, a day when there's the farmer's market? Since
Okay,
people are
so
already
that's a
down
good
there
idea.
and they
Yeah.
can just,
That's a
Lead
good
along.
idea.
I would come for the walk and that would help me remember that there's farmer's market. I'm always the day after.
Again,
Yeah.
is it again?
and maybe multiple farmer's markets.
Yes,
Like the
Oh, yeah.
first and then the fourth and then,
Yeah.
not necessarily back to back.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna see any actual construction,
Yeah,
you know, until July, so
true.
we would be looking at the before pictures. You know, it would be interesting if, I was down there 2 or 3 weeks ago, showing my brother from out of town and his kids, around. I don't think that I saw any markings that indicated like where that cultural artifacts hotspot is. That would be an interesting thing to get staked out, just to point at. and
Yeah.
Put it in context for people.
well, maybe, now, when does farmer's market start?
Today was the last winter one, so I don't know if it starts next week or they take a week or two off, I'm not sure.
I think they
In
take a
May.
week off. Yeah,
Starting in May.
May.
Yeah, May,
First Tuesday in May, perhaps.
I'm
that
pretty
would
sure.
make sense, yeah.
So, how likely, we don't have anything to show anybody the first week in May. So,
I will say that the walking group did a downtown walk, which I didn't do because I lived the Shaw part of it. But I know that was extremely popular just to have somebody walk along and point things out so people knew
That's a
what
great
was
idea.
happening. So
Oh,
just
cool.
even though there wasn't anything there, people were like, oh my gosh, this is changing, that's changing, when is this gonna happen? And that was
Yeah.
John Stevens, by the way, and people were
Yes.
just like thrilled to get the information.
Cool.
One of the
Yeah.
most popular downtown walks. So.
Ditto for another walk I went with them on, and we started, I believe, at the senior center and walked all the way. And people were very interested. We walked along the river and to the railroad and,
Yeah.
I
Talking
did,
about the Riverwalk, is that what you're, yeah, good.
so I still, I mean, even though there may not be anything to show, I think seeing the before
Yeah.
and then, what
Yeah.
several months
If somebody
before,
just
during
happened
and
to have
after.
one of
Yeah,
Pat's awesome drawings, like,
exactly.
You are here.
And maybe we could. Yeah, I need that for sure.
and not really teaching anymore, I have one of those giant boxes of the sheep protectors, so it'd be all
Oh,
set
that's
for
great.
big
Laminate
drawing.
it. Yeah.
I have a laminator that will do 11 by 17, so,
Even
That
better.
could be worth it.
yeah, well,
I'm coming to your house and donating.
Don't fall for it, it's just a roll of packing tape, and he's like, oh, just 5 more minutes.
I did that
Yeah,
in a
that's how I
motel
want to
room
do
one
it.
time, it's bad. Don't do that. It's
No.
bad.
no, I get
So-
hooked.
so should we aim for, I'm thinking like Memorial Day? Should we do it on Memorial Day? Or the
Well-
week, or the Tuesday before Memorial Day?
I think we should,
That would be the
Get-
27th.
I think we should get closer and get a weather projection before we
That's true.
start talking about. I think by Memorial Day, there's a better chance of having a good Tuesday. Or a good Thursday is when the walking group typically does its thing, right?
Tuesday, well, they end in,
In this, in the summer, we're just doing the transition of the crown to the summer person who does them Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock after April 29th.
Who's the summer person?
Nancy Tuck.
Oh, Nancy, of course. All right, so we certainly should coordinate with her then,
Yeah.
and,
It's always tricky for them as well, because there's some of us that like to do distance and some that, you know, aren't as
Yeah.
interested in doing that, so
Yeah.
it would definitely be nice to be able to say, oh, we're gonna do this thing that may feel a little taxing, but Riverwalk is gonna have a walk around town to see what's.
oh, I see, we'll do both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
I can talk to Nancy about that.
And that would be, like Susan doesn't do anything and she doesn't go back till October, so I think Nancy would be,
Good.
you know, a good one to coordinate with. She always has good ideas.
And we might find that, you know, doing it during a weekday, during the day, won't fit some people's schedules, so we might decide when we get farther down, farther along, to do a Saturday morning one or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Or even in the evening. I mean, then so many people are out and about in
That's
the
true.
evening. If they're
I'm
not
just always
working, then-
thinking about who is it that you wanna reach, like
Yeah.
you know, do we wanna switch it up and have different times, or even on the same day, this is the day,
Right.
but bring your kids, we'll be going on a shorter walk and we won't talk that much. Or, you know,
Yeah.
like come out and then we'll stop at Good Measure for
Yeah.
a beer.
I think that's a joke, but it's
Yeah,
still
no,
really,
not really.
it's
Yeah.
gospel.
Yeah.
My kids,
Because-
Kinda
I
what
just
we
came
do.
here from Good Measure with my kids. They were raised in that brewery.
So, I mean, but people talk, and they wanna talk,
Right.
and they wanna share their
Where else are you
thoughts.
supposed to
Right.
go?
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
go
Guys,
to
they're
the-
there.
we went
You
to the
also
Falls
wanna
General Store, the
demonstrate
library,
like
Good
what
Measure,
this
it's like,
path is
that's it.
for, and it's for that. I mean,
Yes.
there
Yeah.
is this economic development piece of it where
Yes.
getting people out and about and walking downtown is gonna get people to visit the businesses downtown, so visiting them at different hours of the day is a good idea.
you could also stop and have a cone and sit on the steps.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
a coffee
Yeah.
by
And I just
carrier if
think-
you did a morning walk. Or,
Even just putting, as I've been thinking about NCDN, like what are all the options? Like just to say, you know, if you bring your kids, you might wanna stop for a cone. If you bring, you know,
Yeah.
your friends, you might wanna stop for a beer.
Yeah.
Or a
Yes.
hop and buzz maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
You get to do this.
I'd be more than happy to.
Oh, I'd love it if you did that,
That's great.
Janine. Okay, that's Janine Ham is going to lead and we will follow. So any questions you want to ask or suggestions that you have, you should definitely share them with Janine. Do you have contact information you'd prefer us using?
I do,
Okay,
it's my first name, JANAN .HAMM@iCloud.com. I'm happy to give my phone number if somebody would rather text.
or text. What's your text?
802-595-4595.
4, 5,
I bet that
9,
gets messed
5.
up all the time.
Or, that's a good
Or not.
mnemonic,
I had to change it because my one I've had for years and years was corrupt, and this one also is corrupt with somebody else's,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
they're all
nonsense.
corrupt.
But
Yeah.
the little guy at the phone store in Montpelier looked for the kind of senior citizen ones where it was repeated. 595.
Was that at Moby Tech? He's the best.
Yeah, he's in there like, here's the best ones I could find. I think you'll be able to remember this.
Yes. He is the best. Do you know this guy?
No,
He's
definitely. I
he's
don't
an
go to
African immigrant. We're gonna
phone
probably
stores.
have to stand up, all the old ladies are gonna have to get up, righteously help this guy.
I don't think I've bought a phone from a person since like 2013.
Oh, I always buy reconditioned ones from this guy.
Nice.
I'm just always breaking things.
Mine
and have
are
to-
politically correct. I get the politically correct ones, so,
Someone stole them and sold them to.
yeah, that's how
That's the way to
politically
do it.
correct they are.
That's the way to fix the system.
Okay, so I have that we discussed farmer's market as an option, evenings as an option, Saturday mornings as an option, that you're gonna
And the walking group is an option.
Yeah, and the walking group is an option. And coordinate with Nancy Pack and, yeah, and then you can talk to us about what progress you've made on that next time.
Okay.
Okay. Then, let's see, what else are we gonna talk about? Social media information. When do we wanna start doing social media information?
Can it be just to advertise these
Walks.
preliminary walks?
Yes. That's right, just the fact that so that will be part of what we're doing in our social media.
Starting the
Yeah.
process, starting the conversation.
And mentioning the dates that you mentioned, Jeff, you know, about out to bid in May, construction in July, that get people's expectations realistic.
Okay,
Because I didn't realize until this meeting that July, I probably heard it before, that July is really when it's gonna start.
Close
Okay.
by, we're almost at the end of April.
But also let people know
the
that's
plan.
the idea.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
subject to change.
Well, I've been in Vermont the last 2 Julys. July 10th is a day to watch.
Yeah. Well, and also too, FEMA and others that are the funding agencies, the permitting agencies.
All of that, right.
And
So I don't know, do you wanna say something about when I guess we shouldn't say things until this is finished with Dollar General.
So,
Put it in social media and in the paper that we have the deal with Dollar General. We should,
yeah, it's probably not a good idea to.
we'll
announce
wait
it,
on
yeah.
that, we'll wait on that, okay.
I think that it would be good to use Northfield's own social media, the Northfield News, as an outlet, with the same proviso of not saying that we have the Dollar General land until we actually have it. Yeah, I think that's really important.
Social media.
and that would be appropriate to like couch that in or have that be a public thank you
Yeah.
to Dollar
Yeah, that's a
General?
great-
Okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great,
Okay.
idea.
Powerful.
Yes,
Excellent
Okay.
idea.
encourages them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they would like that publicity.
Okay.
Super idea.
Yeah.
And then, reports from the field, I heard first a reference, when I say that, what I mean is everybody here has multiple affiliations. And so getting together is a good chance to bring more information about everything else you guys are doing. So I already heard a little mention of the affordability group and the idea that you guys are talking about it and that you said,
accessibility.
I mean, the accessibility group, that you guys are talking about it with regard
I'd like
to.
to hear more about that.
At first, I was just like, that's a
Can I
great
join
idea.
that?
I can't believe I didn't know we had one of those. We definitely need it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, if I go into old age, that might be something I'll need to tap into.
Put that in the notes for NCD
Yeah.
and Jeff wants an affordability group.
Well, you can all
I'll
afford us,
share
because we're
that one.
totally volunteers, you
Yeah.
know.
But you know, what you said about signage.
Worth every penny.
And
Yeah.
about the signage, so we'll definitely be coming back to you and asking about signage.
Well, that's something as
That's what
Elaine
you do.
indicated, you know, we're thinking about that in relation to trails, you know, behind the school on Garvey Hill. You know, that some of those may be accessible. We don't think there's any in the town forest that are gonna be classifiable as that, unfortunately.
Did you
Wait, you mean universally accessible?
Yeah, right.
I would be very surprised if the Garvey Hill trails became, the entrance itself is not,
Yeah, but there's trails around the base before the hill goes up, where there's a outdoor classroom, for example. That's a fairly level thing. These are all hopes and dreams.
Okay. I'm not
mistaking
seeing
any
how you
plans.
get to the outdoor classroom without rough terrain.
Yeah, right, well, that's something we need to look at.
Okay,
Did you all see in the Greater Northfield social page, did you see the pictures of those women?
Oh my
yeah,
God, that
Mary,
was
thank you,
great.
Mary
Mary
Lynn
sent
Scott
those to
sent
us.
those around today.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was
These, well, everybody under 30 is a kid to me, okay? So these girls are standing there and they're like, you know, every picture you've ever seen, they're classic poses of WPA and other working pictures. These 4 women have these poses and they have the ear protectors on and they
And
have
the
the
helmets
chaps
and
on and they
Yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah.
and they just look
Is this
magnificent.
like trail work?
Yeah,
Something? I
Yes.
have no idea.
BYCC is doing
Oh.
work on the trails
Oh,
behind
cool.
the school,
Do
yeah,
you have
at
the-
Garvey Hill.
Yep, I
Is that
did a
started?
Yeah,
screenshot of
they've
it.
been there the last couple days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know, so-
yeah, I saw groups of people in all orange and I was like, huh, something's happening. And then Mary was the one who forwarded that to our accessibility group. So yeah, that is,
Isn't that great? It's just,
Yeah.
it's just stunning.
yeah.
Yeah, there they are. I
Yeah,
saw it.
I got it. Show it to Jeff also, cause he wasn't in there.
Also from that group, and
Oh,
I'll
nice.
let Mary, as the co-chair of the accessibility group, shut me up if I need to not share this, but about the pool. Can I share about the pool, municipal pool,
Yeah.
plans for accessibility at the municipal pool, and our
Yes.
understanding? So the accessibility group is making plans. You're all in the group, making plans to make the public pool universally accessible. That's like, we're starting plans for that, but as far as we know, no other public pools, certainly no outdoor public pools in the state of Vermont are accessible by wheelchair. So this would be the first and only if we were able to achieve this, which would go really well with this path and be another draw as like literally a tourist attraction
Right.
or an attraction to,
Nice.
not that that's like, tourist attraction necessarily isn't the end goal, but
Yeah.
that would be part
Bringing
of this.
people in, it's part of
Exactly, yeah.
economic development.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and we're very interested in getting a pool wheelchair or 2 for the pool. There's early stages of talking about it.
Do you have one of
Talking with
those
Shannon
things
also.
that cranks?
No,
It's just a ramp.
because the pool has that
It's a
sloped,
gentle, you could just
ramp.
wheel right in.
right,
Really.
right, but you
Oh,
need
cool.
something that's
It's a,
submersible,
like,
you know, that's,
real
can
asset
go in
of
the
this
water.
particular pool,
they
yeah.
make them out of
Oh,
PVC and stuff.
Really?
Whoa.
We just have, I mean, Mary is one who, Mary, Mary.
From what
You know more about this
Shannon
than I
was
do.
explaining, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I understood it from Shannon's explanation was a pool lift for people with other mobility, like knees or backs or legs or ankles or whatever type of injury. A lift into the pool would not work for our pool because of all the underground electrical and having to disconnect it in the winter and so forth. But with the slope going into the pool, that sort of led us down the whole like, well, what else could we do and what else could we explore? And there are beaches in Vermont, like up in the Burlington area, that have beach wheelchairs, but there's no pools that have a pool wheelchair. So that'd be a great opportunity, we think.
And Mary, you've been in touch with groups like Vermont Adaptive Sports.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have, you know, you've reached out and networked with people that you know through the, you know, disability rights community and
Yep.
adaptive things, so this is, seems really attractive, doesn't it?
Well, one of the things that we definitely have to do here in this landing at the end of our, you know, at the not at the terminus, because it isn't really the end, but that place there, we're gonna have to put a wheelchair accessible picnic table.
That's another thing that we are planning,
Amazingly,
yes.
Tim, do you want to share your design thoughts?
Well, I didn't bring it with me, but I've been working on a design for an accessible picnic table that would have center access instead of having just an extended end,
Yeah,
as being more sociable and attractive. So,
Cool.
to be continued, but we're planning on working perhaps with Norwich, the woodworking shop and the architecture
Oh, yeah.
school to, make all this come together and use Tom Yakowicz as the supervisor of the Norwich.
Who he used to work with.
No, I hired him, Mary,
Yeah.
25 years ago.
This is the good old boy Ned.
Yeah, anyway, so, but our fantasy, our goal is to do a production line and make 8 or 9 or 10 of these tables to be put on the common, at
Yeah.
Memorial Park, at the pool also. Shannon's very interested in this, maybe at the Falls Gen, try to make this an accessible feature of our town.
Yeah,
The Dog River Park Group has a grant and they are purchasing a picnic table.
A different
They're
type.
going ahead and purchasing a picnic table. They consulted with this group
Yeah.
and we looked at tons of designs and then Tim came up with a new one.
Yeah.
And we want him to
Yes,
trademark it and copyright it and make money off
And
of
give a
it.
donation toward.
Exactly.
You keep your.
after I make my first million and you want.
Exactly.
You keep 80%, we'll take 20.
It's a really cool design.
Well, we've got it's not the simplest thing to build. This is a typical Tim Swartz design. I went for the really good function, but it's not economically, not something that people are gonna wanna pay for. But if we have a bunch of volunteers putting parts together, it could be affordable thing with, some local funding and grants and things like that too, so.
what about NCDN? What information can you give us?
I don't know that I have any update from NCDN at this time.
I hear you got a Riverwalk plan.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been in, they're the ones that started this whole
Oh, I
thing.
know. I know. I just wondered if they had other plans.
nothing, nothing that I would bring here today, I would say.
I'm really sorry Charlie couldn't be here because he would have a lot of information about farmers markets and how we could,
Sync up, yeah.
sync up with
We've
that.
I'm on the energy committee and
Yes.
we've done a few like farmers markets where you just like contact the market organizer ahead of time, set a table up, put some stuff on it. So we did one of those where we got, I can't remember, Local Motion, E-Motion, some Vermont electric bike nonprofit thing, and they brought a bike and then people took
Oh, I
tours on
remember
the
that.
bike, so like we could do something like that at one of the markets where it was like, at 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, a walk leaves and one of us takes people down the river, have a table, publicize it ahead of time and then like have 3 or 4 people there so we could just go out on a loop. That way it gives people different times after. So in my experience, it's just been contacting the market manager ahead of time to make sure that there's a space. I don't know if they charge. I don't think we've ever been charged money to do that because we're just like a nonprofit group.
Well, and you're
NCDN
bringing
is
more
a
people.
nonprofit and we have been charged to have our booth
Okay.
there.
So
Um,
maybe.
but
we
I
have
wouldn't-
been.
I would
I'm the
offer it,
treasurer of
but
the energy committee, so I really should know that information. But I don't think,
This is
I
what
think
networking does.
But NCDN is there every single Tuesday. It's not like this one day we're gonna set up a table,
so
is that
you're a
okay?
regular-
Yeah,
so
but
maybe
I
this
would
is like-
offer it. I would offer it or
Oh,
talk to
operate off
NCDN
of that
about,
table.
yeah, but I think we decided not to do it this year because we were like,
Yeah, what are
because we
doing?
weren't getting the money back on what we were paying
Yeah,
for the
right.
space.
Well, that's the
I
thing,
think
you're selling
we
something.
decided at that, yeah.
And you're giving stuff away. That's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, so I'm sure that we could swindle Charlie into letting us have a spot through his, well, I know that Cassie doesn't manage it anymore, right? But
She does a lot of them.
yeah, so like,
She knows
Yep.
people.
Yeah. Actually, the woman who manages it, last I checked, her name is Sadie Hawkins, which I thought is very
Interesting.
cool.
That is
Thanks.
cool. But
That's good.
actually, we wouldn't have to be there every week, we would
Oh,
only
no.
have to be
Yeah, that's what
there.
I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly,
I think we
yeah.
could
And when-
probably sneak in there a couple
Yeah.
times.
Couple
this summer.
times.
When we
Well-
have those days that are the walking days, and like you said, we're gonna go at 5, 3, 4, and 5, or something like that, I don't know.
Well, and I think that these are, just like your energy committee stuff, Patrick, these would be things that would bring more people. It would help Janann come in on the right day, she told us.
Yeah.
I left whatever meeting and said, oh, this is the last one, I'm gonna go home and order stuff, did I?
Thought of something
Isn't it
else by
nice
the
that
time
summer
we got
comes
home.
around again?
I got home and I'm just like, oh man, I forgot again.
So then the last thing on the agenda is possible removal of public displays. And I was thinking maybe it's just relocating the public displays from the municipal building, which I'm beginning to think people don't look at it anymore because they,
Oh, I see from time to time, particularly during busy times,
Yeah.
utility payments or tax payments, I'll see folks taking a look at it.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
Taxes are coming up soon, May something,
yeah.
14th.
so they should
14th
stay
or
there
15th.
till then,
Mhm.
yeah. What about the library, what do you know?
I moved them around a few times. I don't know. I mean, people I don't think they're in the way, but if it's getting a little long in the tooth and people are like, what's going on with that anyways? We could pull them down. I'm fine with that.
Well, what I'm thinking is not that people don't see them anymore.
If it's the
It's
same people
always-
going to the same location, then they're not
Mm.
move it to a new
Yeah,
location
so
and
they
get
should
new
go somewhere else.
eyes.
And that's
That
what
we-
I was thinking we should do that on the farmer's market day.
Yeah.
That we're gonna.
Right.
Oh yeah, we should definitely move them there for that.
Yeah.
I don't know where else in town we could put them. We could ask the Falls General Store to set them up there. There's not like a lot of big, they kind of take up space. And
Yes.
the carrier people were chill. The couple times I asked to set them up there for a day when something was going on, they didn't seem to care, but also I don't think they want them. They
All the
don't have a lot
time.
of space, during
Yeah.
the rush times, there's no,
Yeah.
they'll move them around and stuff, but I don't know where else we would put them really.
What about, okay, so Northfield Dental Group, we worked with Jenny Kunkel, and it's her daughter's practice, and they were very receptive to our surveys, and I realize the survey is a piece of paper, and the posters are bigger, but maybe a couple days they would be
Like
willing to do
smaller
that.
businesses in
Mhm.
town, I never
It's
The
not a
other
really
huge
thought of
one,
that.
We could figure out how to put what are those command strips on the back so they could go on a wall instead of the easel
Oh,
that
yeah.
kicks out 5 feet into the room,
Yes,
So,
that's a really good
and
idea.
then we don't put
Great.
holes in their wall or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's a harder sell. As it should be.
With my big drill, I'll just be a few minutes, you might wanna put some hearing protection on.
I had another thought, and I don't know if it would be a good one or not, because can't quite recall how much room they all take up when they're all grouped together. But I know that a while ago we were talking and had the interest in having some conversations, discussions, interest with folks at the senior center for when the
Oh,
we
yeah.
move way down in the future to section A. So
Mhm.
would that be a potential site to have
Yeah.
them?
Yes.
It's a really good idea. And they
Especially
have the
if we
space.
spend some time in re-engineering the back of it so that it's not, like you said, jutting out.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, I built the little easels pretty quickly, frantically before the farmer's market for that first one in
Yeah.
40 minutes, but yeah, I don't, a little tripod thing is always gonna take up some space, but
Yes.
I don't, we could hang them on, I've never been in the senior center before, I don't know what the layout is, but we could do the
Could
same.
maybe put them
Space.
strategically by a desk so that no trip hazards or to attach some of that orange, bright orange string to it so people visually see that the trip hazard is there.
Um, I could ask Liz if they would put them in the clinic for a while. That's like
Oh,
a
that's a
huge.
great
hall,
idea.
it's
Yeah.
not
Excellent.
that full.
Yes,
And I have
And
an
you're just sitting
in
around waiting
with
that,
them.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how all that logistics works, but
They
I can
were
ask.
not good with me putting they did not want the surveys in there,
The surveys,
but
yeah, I
now
know
you
they,
have an in.
they
I have
had
no
a huge,
connection there,
they had a huge, I know there's a big controversy when they wanted to hang up some flag. It was like a Black Lives Matter flag years ago, and it was like a whole thing from back and forth, and then it was like
Oh my.
something like we like our community. They settled. It was like a whole. I'm like, why don't you hang the flag? So I'll ask, but I don't know what they might have. We don't let anyone hang anything because then we don't need to say no to anyone. I'm
Sure,
not sure what
yeah.
the
Makes
policy
sense.
is.
There are those pictures of the student art. This is community. It's not
Yeah, right.
selling or politics.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you know what, going back to the senior center for a minute, there are artists there who display their pictures all over the wall, and I don't see why maybe they could take some of those pieces of artwork down and stick up that
yeah,
poster on the wall
right.
amongst the
Local
artwork.
artists.
Yeah, there you go. Just sign it.
Yeah.
I also, like, it sounds like they're like the traveling posters at this point. I wonder if, like, as things come, Dollar General, land approved, I wonder if we could put a really brightly colored post-it and say, and now this has
Yes.
happened.
Topical
Upcoming,
updates,
yeah, so that it makes them new for places that they've
Good
been
point.
there
I've
for
been
a
to,
while.
that's a good idea.
Very good idea.
One more location just to throw out, Tops.
Mhm.
There
I
is
was
a
wondering,
relatively open, like, space at the entrance of Tops,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
the grocery store in town, so
That's true.
Yes.
hopefully it would catch
What about
people.
Kenyon? Well, Kenyon's, their display board is on the outside, I don't think it would be seen very well.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea either.
What's the timeline on this? Should we,
Or wait, how about this? Okay, so the lawyer's office downtown is vacant right now.
yeah,
And can it not be hung on the inside of the windows? So it can be seen by people passing by
yeah.
on the sidewalk?
BDS is also vacant on the common.
When you
That's
say
true.
vacant, they're still there, right?
I mean,
I was
Bill's
under
not
the
out of
impression
there.
that it
No,
was
Bill
just
was right.
He did?
the main
Bill
Moved his
switchboard.
office to his home.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Who owns that spot?
It's my understanding it's Fernandez.
Oh,
I talked over you, Mary, what'd you say?
This Mary?
Mary, Nate, and Scott.
Oh. Gotcha. It's my understanding. I thought that, and I might have misunderstood Tom, but I thought that Tom was saying that TDS is technically the owner because they still have their main switchboard room in the back.
yeah.
Yeah, in that building. The
And so
law
it's
office,
not totally vacant. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but there's no working people at desks in that building.
Are you saying that we should try to ask them to put the display up?
Perhaps, I mean, to
Well,
my
yeah,
knowledge,
really,
there's
what's
nothing
the
in
worst
the
they can say
windows
is no.
except for curtains in the, but in the, like I know in the winter they put like a holiday theme like decoration, but I don't believe there's, other than that, it's just little dust bunnies.
yes, a dust display.
Yeah.
Do you think the Common Cone would allow it? They're opening soon, or have it
They have
opened,
like
I'm not
no
sure.
There
space in
isn't a
there,
lot of
though.
space
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
I mean, like
It's
a
like
piece of paper on the window.
Oh, we can
not-
put it in the window,
Yeah, to face outward.
Yeah, I think anywhere where people are traveling by regularly would be good because like the vacant buildings in town, you get used to not looking at them. So I mean,
Right.
maybe something would catch your eye, but
Yeah. And maybe if it was color, like have a bright orange color
Yeah.
background.
Yeah,
yeah,
What about like
especially if it changes periodically, like,
Yeah.
I think that's a key thing.
we could get one of those people to like
Inflatable arm flailing too,
you know,
man,
like
yeah.
someone out on
Those
the
are very
street.
disturbing.
I could reprint them as
You
like
look
an arrow
qualified.
shape instead of instead of just this rectangle, an arrow.
Tim
You need
said
to
they're
talk
very
it to
disturbing,
Jen
I
at the
agree.
clinic. I took their Halloween picture and that's what she was dressed as.
The signs. That's a great costume.
Hiring.
Yeah, right.
Costume.
Last suggestion, what about Northfield Savings Bank? They have a pretty big,
That's a good idea. Yes.
lobby.
Yeah. And they're community minded.
And they're like right on top of where, like, close to where this is happening. I guess not, never mind, I'm a block off, but. Yeah,
Yeah.
great ideas.
Crowdsourcing here.
Well, this is why we have meetings. And that leads me to the last thing, which is on here. It's the date of the next meeting, which is May 21st. And I had a conversation with Charlie, and he said, there isn't a whole lot going to happen, but I don't know. Now we made up a lot of things that happen. We've got this group walk to plan to do, and that will pretty much, that's timely, May 21st.
I think
That's
let's plan on that.
timely. And relocating the displays, these are things that we'll discuss on the 21st.
Will we have any update regarding the bidding process by then?
Yeah, I would think, actually, it's probably gonna be more towards the end of the month, so,
That's a maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to, it's.
No,
it's still
just
in
curious.
flux. Yeah.
And Dollar General might get back, but I know you can't predict
Well,
that.
Can't predict that.
it's critical they do, so I'm gonna really start to,
Good.
I've been very polite, but I think I'm gonna have to.
You have our permission to not be 100% polite.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
So, it
Great.
is now 7:08. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we will adjourn at 7:08. We have adjourned. Thank you very much. So.
Bye, bye Mary, bye Colin.
Mary.
Yes,
Bye,
you can
thank
take
you,
this one, Tina.
everybody.
And
Do you
then,
wanna roll that up?
yeah, I'll roll it up, and then can I have the, I guess, the meeting notes and the.
Here's the
agenda,
minutes
please?
from the last time, and here's the agenda from this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
You're
thank you
welcome.
very much.
I love making
So
maps.
cool.
I was born 300 years